a.m. now on the money here on this Wednesday, November 10th. Thanks for sticking around. I'm Josh Helmuth.
And I'm Bryn Carmen. It is so good to see you on this Wednesday. Feeling pretty nice out there, given it's only 6 a.m.
It's warmer than it was yesterday this time in the morning.
I know. Nice change. So maybe just a light jacket or a long sleeve as you head off to work today. This is a look at our Vera Wireless Weather Network camera up in the Denver area. Storm Tracker 13 meteorologist Chris Larson joins us now with a really pretty look at Cheyenne Wells this morning as we start to see that sun come up.
Yeah, beautiful sky out there. We do have mostly cloudy skies in areas this morning. Starting to see some thinning, and we'll get some sunshine as we head into the afternoon. Still going to be cool today. Highs are only going to be in the 50s. 43 right now in the Springs, 36 Pueblo, it's 43 Lyman, and 44 degrees in La Junta. Now, as you take out a look at our radar this morning, there you go. You've got some light rain showers over into Lincoln County towards Burlington. But again, as I've said all morning long, it's pretty dry here at the surface. Much of this is just evaporating before it hits the ground. And then as you go up into the mountains along the I-25 corridor, Carbondale into Aspen, Leadville, and up towards Vale and Breckenridge this morning, Beaver Creek, all seeing a little light dusting of snow, so some good news there. Winds are going to pick up this afternoon out of the northwest. We've got critical fire weather, red flag fire warnings from noon to 6 p.m. That includes Colorado Springs and in Pueblo. 57 today for the Springs, upper 40s around Woodland Park, and at 60 degrees in Fountain. Canyon City and Pueblo in those low 60s, 59 for the Beulah Valley, and then we'll see the 50s and the 60s, 59 in Kim this afternoon, 65 for Los Animas. Now let's get a check of your morning commute, and I'll send it over to Natalie.
Chris, thank you. Colorado, good morning. 6:01 on the clock, and we're taking a look at areas of southern Colorado that may slow you down if you're running out the door a little late. If you're traveling to the Mile High City or joining us in the Springs, we're seeing some slowdowns on I-25 headed toward the county line. This is 30 miles per hour on I-25, and then taking a look further east on East Palmer Divide Avenue. Maybe you're trying to hop off I-25 and get onto 83, 35 miles an hour there as well. But not long stretches of road, so you should be okay for the most part. But looking in Colorado Springs, headed toward the airport, seeing speeds of 30 miles per hour. Not too much slower than what you should be driving anyway, but don't take your chances if you're headed out of the area this week. In the Strathmore Hills area, 30 miles per hour, and further west, Broadmoor 30, and further north on Mesa Road, seeing slowdowns of 15 miles per hour. A couple moments ago, we were showing you on the traffic tracker where we were seeing some backups on that road in both directions. Midway between Pueblo and Colorado Springs, seeing a short bit of roadway where we're seeing some slowdowns headed toward the Springs, 20 miles per hour there. No accidents to report, so we'll just keep an eye on that, make sure that nothing bad is going on there. And then one quick look at the Steel City off Everett and Highway 50, seeing speeds of 20 miles per hour, and further west 25 miles per hour. Josh, Bren.
Natalie, thank you. Let's get right into our COVID-19 in Colorado coverage, where the state is activating a crisis standard of care for healthcare workers to address the strain we're really seeing on the state's hospital systems. That order does start today.
Yep, not surprising seeing the big surge we're seeing right now, especially in El Paso County. Kurjan Donovan joins us live to explain how this affects the medical community and health resources. Kurjan.
The move will allow hospitals to prioritize staffing for emergencies and reduce the level of care for non-emergencies. As we know, staffing and resources at hospitals are very scarce right now, and that's why the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment is reactivating the crisis standards of care for staffing. It gives hospitals the flexibility to move staff around and offers guidelines for how and when family members can step in to help with things like feeding and bathing. It even provides legal protection if care isn't what it usually would be. The guidelines, which were deactivated in February, now return, giving hospitals a chance to maximize staff, holding off on anything non-essential so workers can focus on the influx of COVID-19 patients and other emergencies. Other goals are to optimize healthcare work resilience and assure guardrails and support are in place for workplace safety for healthcare workers and their patients. It should free up more healthcare workers to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, Governor Jared Polis issued an executive order that makes it easier for hospitals to transfer patients. This will prevent facilities from becoming overwhelmed. Reporting live at UC Health, I'm Kurjan Donovan with Cardeo News Channel 13.
Thanks, Kurjan. Pueblo has taken a big step to make sure more patients can receive care during this surge. Parkview Medical Center is now the first hospital in the state to call in FEMA workers to fill the gaps in their staff. Governor Polis said this would be a possibility weeks ago. The medical center, admits staffing has been an issue after they had to fire 56 people across multiple departments for not getting the vaccine by the state's deadline. And that's why they're requesting 15 additional health care workers to help care for COVID patients. Now, this is the first time a Colorado hospital has requested help from the federal government like this. Parkview's communications specialist, Rachel Morris, she says the rise in cases isn't surprising. She points to a 20% lower vaccination rate in Pueblo as one of the possible reasons for this crisis.
Vaccine booster eligibility is expanding again, this time to ages 18 and up for people in high-risk environments, a category every Coloradan falls in this morning. KRDO News Channel 13's Riley Carroll joins us now live in the studio with what health officials are recommending.
Bryn, that new CDC guidance says if you're 18 or older and work or live in high-risk settings, you're good to go to receive that booster shot 6 months after your initial immunization. The CDC also specifies if you're between the ages of 18 and 49 with underlying medical conditions, you should also be getting that booster shot. That 6-month wait time is for Pfizer and Moderna recipients, but the CDC says if you got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and are at least 18, you can get a booster as soon as 2 months after your first dose. With 1 in 48 Coloradans estimated to be infectious right now, the chief medical officer with the state health department argues every Coloradan is living in a high-risk setting. He encourages every eligible person to get vaccinated and get a booster if you've already gotten the shot. Keep in mind, you can get any brand of booster no matter which one you went for that initial vaccination. That's according to the CDC. Reporting from the studio, I'm Riley Carroll for KRDO News Channel 13.
Riley, thank you. A huge update in our COVID coverage. Academy School District 20 now apologizing to parents after an internal investigation found 4 teachers did suggest students tape their face masks to their nose.
The district says they're disappointed by the decisions made by staffers. This happened at Chinook Trail Middle School. They're offering counseling services to any student who feels like they need it. But the district also said it cannot comment on personnel matters, which means we don't know what kind of punishment, if any, the teachers in question were given. And that upsets the mother who first brought all this to light.
What made me really upset and uncomfortable is the fact that they can't tell you what sort of disciplinary action is going to take place. I didn't understand that. Like, I expected more transparency, I guess, but that's not happening.
Stephanie believes the teachers should be fired, calling it an abuse of power to tell children to tape their faces. She has now pulled her daughter out of Chinook Middle School, enrolling her in an online program.
Over the past year and a half, dermatologists in Colorado Springs are saying they have increasingly seen the impact of COVID-19. People with maybe who need routine skin checkups. I know I have my annual skin checkup, and they've been postponing those because of COVID, and that can actually end to life-threatening issues. KRDO News Channel 13's Jessica Grenling is live right now from Vanguard Specialists with more on these trends that are really concerning, and they're coinciding with the pandemic, Jess.
Yeah, that's right, Josh. Here at Vanguard Specialists, they say they're seeing a number of trends. There's still the issue with mask need for kids and adults since the pandemic started. They're seeing issues with hair loss, and then again, people delaying treatments. Now, doctors here say they are seeing increases in the severity of skin cancers in their patients. There's concerns for patients who are delaying their skin checks, who have a history of melanoma or other skin cancers. The delay is coming from people still not wanting to be in a doctor's office setting. While doctors say they understand those concerns, they are doing everything they can to keep patients healthy. They say to remember there are life-threatening risks that come with putting off your checkup.
We always say if there's something that new that pops up that you're unsure about, something that's rapidly growing, or just something that doesn't look like the other things that you have on your skin, we don't want you to delay to that because that could have a longer impact on your overall health.
According to Vanguard Skin Specialists, there's still an uptick in acne cases in adults and kids wearing masks. Doctors recommend wearing a cotton mask and changing it out or washing it on a regular basis. Trying to take a break from wearing it when you can. That will help reduce friction, moisture, and bacteria. You can use over-the-counter washes with benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid, and then reach out to your dermatologist for prescription medication. And doctors say they are seeing an increase in hair loss induced by stress from the pandemic. We'll have more on those symptoms coming up in the next half hour. Live in Colorado Springs, Jessica Grunling, KRDO News Channel 13.
All right, thanks, Jess. 2 days, 2 different women sexually assaulted. Straight ahead, why police say who they arrested in connection with those incidents.
And a shocking turn in the Barry Morphew murder trial as attorneys try and turn the tables on the prosecution. Police say they've arrested a suspect after 2 separate sex assaults a day apart. KRDO News Channel 13's digital anchor Willis Scott tells us how Colorado Springs police identified the suspected attacker.
Bryn, police say last Saturday they responded to a call about a sexual assault on Delta Drive. When they got there, they found a woman who was then taken to a medical facility. Officers say their investigation showed the suspect was a white man driving a red truck. The next day, police responded to another call on Delta Drive where another woman was sexually assaulted. That woman was also taken to a medical facility for treatment. Officers were able to get a picture of the suspect's vehicle, and they say the follow-up investigation led to the identification of that suspect. Police say detectives and officers executed a search warrant at the suspect's home and recovered evidence of the crimes. They say they arrested this man, 28-year-old Justin Kelty, for the attacks. Bryn?
Willis, thank you. In continuing coverage this morning to Chaffee County and a surprising new twist in the Barry Morphew murder trial. His attorneys now arguing that the prosecution hid evidence from the defense. Barry Morphew is facing first-degree murder charges in the death of his wife of more than 30 years. Yesterday's hearing was supposed to be short and routine, aimed at addressing pretrial publicity, but the defense decided to focus on something else. They believe prosecutors hid evidence by not properly reporting conversations they had with law enforcement. Morphew's attorneys now arguing his bond could have been set much lower, and the case may not have even gone to trial had the prosecution been upfront about what it knows. But prosecutors maintain they hid nothing. Now the judge is expected to address these claims at a hearing scheduled for mid-December. Staffing shortages do continue to plague local schools, pushing some to switch to remote learning. We'll go over those changes happening this week. And another change to keep in mind, this one hitting your wallet. We're going to explain the winter rate hike coming down from Colorado Springs Utility.